Welcome to While We Were Distracted, the podcast where we explore topics that often get overshadowed in the rush of daily life.
Imagine taking a 2015 medical journal, right, and a microscopic fat bubble, and then somehow tying those to the highest echelons of international criminal law.
Right. It's a lot.
It's massive.
Yeah.
And fusing them together to basically argue that your neighborhood pharmacy as well, that it's actually a military staging ground.
Yeah, that's exactly the framing.
Which is just wild. But that is the explosive, deeply conspiratorial legal blueprint we are unpacking today for you on this deep dive.
It really is something else.
So we're looking at a document you shared with us. It's a transcript titled HomeX.mp4.
Yeah.
And it lays out this massive narrative designed to completely redefine the last several years of global history.
Yeah, and it is a profoundly uncompromising text. I mean, the document is built around a statement by a man named Joseph Sansone, which heavily relies on the sworn claims of the late Dr. Francis Boyle.
Okay.
And the core thesis they're advancing here, like the foundational claim that literally everything else in this document rests upon, is that the COVID-19 mRNA injections are not medical treatments.
Right. They reject that entirely.
Completely. The text argues that by strict legal definition, they are a, quote, military biological weapon system.
Wow. Okay, so before we go a single step further, we need to lay down a crystal clear ground rule for our discussion today.
Oh, absolutely. We have to.
Because that is an incredibly intense, highly politically charged claim. So our goal for this deep dive is strictly to map out the arguments, the mechanics, and the narrative structure presented in this specific text.
Right, we're just looking at the structure.
Exactly. We are not endorsing, validating, or taking sides on these viewpoints. We are impartially breaking down the ideas exactly as the original source material constructs them.
Yeah, think of us as architects examining the blueprints of a highly controversial building.
I like that.
We're looking at how the beams connect and how the foundation is poured, but we are definitely not endorsing the building itself.
Right. That distinction is absolutely critical for you listening. We are analyzing the how and the why of the argument's construction.
Right. And to understand how this document builds its case, we really have to look at how it establishes its authority first.
Okay, where does it start?
Well, any argument claiming something is legally a biological weapon needs a solid legal framework to, define what a bioweapon actually is.
But wait, so this massive global legal accusation rests almost entirely on the credibility of one single guy, this Dr. Boyle.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because that seems like a massive structural weakness for a prosecutor's case, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm building a narrative this extreme, I want a whole coalition of experts, not just one primary witness.
Yeah.
Why does the text rely so heavily on just him?
It's a good question, and the document actually anticipates that exact skepticism. It doesn't just introduce Dr. Francis Boyle as like a random expert.
Right.
It strategically frames him as the ultimate, unassailable authority. The text claims he is the, quote, greatest authority in the field of bioweapons legislation.
Greatest.
Yeah. And crucially, it asserts that he is the actual author of that specific legislation.
Oh, I see.
The rhetorical strategy is very deliberate here. If you are going to make a staggering claim about what constitutes an illegal bioweapon, you need the listener to believe that the person making the claim wrote the actual rule book on the subject.
Ah, okay. So it's a preemptive strike against doubt.
Exactly.
The text is basically telling you, don't debate my definitions, debate the guy who literally wrote the law.
Right. And then the document adds a very dark, almost cinematic detail to cement that authority and add a layer of sinister urgency to it.
What kind of detail?
It explicitly notes that Dr. Boyle passed away shortly after declaring himself willing to testify under oath about these specific claims in court.
Oh, wow. So the text is heavily implying that his knowledge was so threatening to the powers that be that his death is, well, it's essentially circumstantial evidence that his claims were true.
Yeah, that's the implication. It frames him as a martyr to the truth.
It really ramps up the stakes from a dry legal argument to a literal life or death thriller before we even look at the evidence.
It absolutely does. And with that unassailable authority established in the mind of the reader, the text outlines Boyle's core argument.
Which is what, specifically?
He claims the injections contain derivatives of illegal military gain-of-function research.
Okay.
And to prove this legally, Boyle uses a very strict two-part framework. He states that for something to legally qualify as a bioweapon, there must be two integrated components.
Two pieces to the puzzle.
Right. You need a pathogenic load, so the dangerous biological material,
Right.
and you need a delivery mechanism to get it into the target.
A pathogenic load and a delivery mechanism. I mean, mechanically, that makes sense from a military standpoint.
How so?
Well, think about a warhead sitting on a table in a bunker. That isn't a weapon system. It's just a highly dangerous object.
Right, it's not going anywhere.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To be a functional weapon system, you need the explosive payload, and you need the missile to actually fly it to the target and detonate it. They have to be engineered to work together.
Precisely. That's a great way to look at it. And the text argues that both of these components are not only present in the injections, but that they were intentionally engineered and integrated to bypass human defenses.
But hold on, defining something as an illegal bioweapon requires proving it was engineered, right? Because asserting something is synthetically designed is very different from proving it. So if a bioweapon needs a specific engineered payload, where does the document claim the blueprint for this payload actually came from?
Well, this is where the document shifts from international legal theory to citing specific scientific literature.
Okay, let's get into the evidence.
It moves to the first half of that bioweapon equation, the pathogenic payload. The text identifies this payload as the spike protein mRNA.
Right.
And to prove its origin is synthetic and illegal, the source relies heavily on an article published in 2015 in the highly respected journal Nature Medicine.
Wait, 2015? So the document is pointing to research published 5 years before the pandemic officially began.
Correct. 5 years prior. The text translates the title of this 2015 article as, and I'm quoting here, "A cluster of circulating coronaviruses in bats similar to SARS shows potential for human infection."
Okay.
The document presents this specific article as the ultimate smoking gun. It actually pulls direct quotes from the study's summary to build the case that the payload was engineered.
Hold on, let's break down the mechanics of that for a second, because scientific papers are notoriously dense.
Oh, absolutely.
What exactly is the text pulling from that study to prove this was a manufactured payload? We hear terms like mRNA and gain of function thrown around constantly in these discussions, but we really need to explain what the text is actually accusing them of doing.
Okay, so the text highlights a quote where the researchers state that based on their findings, they have, quote, synthetically created an infectious recombinant virus.
Okay, recombinant.
Right. And the document emphasizes that this virus demonstrated robust viral replication, both in vitro and in vivo.
Okay, let's unpack those mechanics for the listener, because that's a lot of jargon.
Let's do it.
So in vitro means outside a living organism, like in a petri dish, right? And in vivo means inside a living organism.
Exactly.
But the critical word there is recombinant. Mechanically, recombinant means they took genetic material from multiple different sources and stitched them together.
Yes, stitched together synthetically.
Right. And when the text talks about gain of function, it isn't just using a buzzword. Mechanically, the document is alleging that researchers took a naturally occurring virus and put it through an evolutionary boot camp to teach it a new trick.
A very specific new trick.
Yes, specifically giving it a master key to unlock human cells.
That is exactly the mechanism the text is pointing to. The document heavily underscores that the researchers explicitly stated they created a SARS-like coronavirus with a spike protein that was deliberately optimized for human infection.
Optimized for human infection.
Yeah. And furthermore, the text leans incredibly hard into the geographic and institutional origins of that 2015 article.
Where was it from?
It points out that the researchers were affiliated with the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill and the Wuhan Institute of Virology.
Wait, Wuhan?
Yeah.
It traces the origin back to the exact city where the outbreak began.
It does. The text makes a point of saying Wuhan, yes, Wuhan, to ensure the reader connects the 2015 research directly to the 2019 outbreak.
Okay, but here is where the narrative hits a major friction point for me.
What's that?
The document is citing a legitimate mainstream scientific journal to prove its point. But if you go to those exact same scientific journals today, especially regarding articles from that era about bat coronaviruses, they almost always have massive editorial disclaimers attached to them now.
Right, they do.
So does the text just ignore the current official medical consensus that the virus likely had a natural origin? How does it handle that?
It doesn't ignore it at all. It actually performs a brilliant rhetorical pivot.
Really?
Yeah. The source actively acknowledges that if you click the link to that Nature Medicine article today, you will immediately see a warning label. The text notes that this label states, "True scientists believe that an animal is the most likely source of the virus." But rather than pretending this disclaimer doesn't exist, the text weaponizes it.
Weaponizes it?
Yeah.
How so? By claiming the disclaimer is part of a cover-up.
Exactly. The speaker in the document dismisses the people behind that warning label as, quote, faith fanatics.
Faith fanatics, wow.
Right. The text constructs a narrative where the official consensus scientists are actually portrayed as religious zealots clinging to a fabricated dogma to hide the truth.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Yeah, it deliberately contrasts this warning label with what it derisively calls the official narrative.
Yeah.
You know, the idea of people suddenly dropping dead on the streets of Wuhan from a randomly mutated bat virus.
So it uses the attempt to contextualize the science as proof of the crime.
Yes, exactly.
For you listening, it's like a prosecutor standing in front of a jury and presenting a highly detailed bank heist blueprint that was drawn up 5 years before the robbery.
Right.
And when the defense says, hey, there's a sticky note on that blueprint from the author saying it was just a theoretical exercise, the prosecutor turns to the jury and says, the fact that they felt the need to slap a sticky note on it proves they're trying to hide what they actually did.
That is the exact narrative logic at play here. It dismisses the official contextualization entirely to maintain its core argument.
Which is that the payload is synthetically made.
Right, that the spike protein mRNA is an illegally developed, synthetically made pathogen born from 2015 gain-of-function research.
Okay, but here's the thing. A synthesized spike protein floating in a petri dish in 2015 is essentially harmless on its own on a global scale.
Sure.
I mean, if you were to just inject raw mRNA into a human bloodstream, the human body's immune system would recognize it as foreign debris and destroy it almost instantly, right? Before it ever reached a cell.
Oh, absolutely. It's very fragile material.
Right, so if we follow the text's own logic, a payload is completely useless without a delivery mechanism. How does the document claim the creators solve the hurdle of actually getting this engineered payload past the human body's natural defenses?
And this brings us to the second crucial building block of Dr. Boyle's bioweapon framework, the delivery mechanism.
Okay.
And this is where the text introduces NLPs, or nanolipid particles.
Nanolipid particles.
Okay.
In standard medical terms, these are just microscopic fat bubbles.
Yes.
They're designed to encase the fragile mRNA payload so it doesn't get shredded by the immune system, allowing it to safely travel through the bloodstream and merge with a cell wall to deposit the instructions inside.
That is the standard, benign scientific description. But the document actively and aggressively attacks that kind of benign language.
It does.
Oh, yeah. The source material mocks the common descriptive term fat globules. It calls that phrase a deliberate propaganda term, designed to make the delivery system sound, quote, as harmless as a stick of butter.
As harmless as a stick of butter. The rhetorical strategy there is really fascinating. The text is aggressively stripping away the comforting medical terminology and forcing the reader to view this biological mechanism through a militarized lens.
Exactly.
Mechanically, the document is describing a Trojan horse. It's arguing that what the public is being told is a harmless, buttery delivery vehicle is actually the wooden horse.
Right.
And the engineered mRNA payload are the soldiers hidden inside, specifically designed to bypass the city walls, the cell membrane, completely undetected.
That Trojan horse metaphor captures the text's argument perfectly. The text actually cites Dr. Boyle to declare that these NLPs are not just fat bubbles, they are actually a nanotechnology-enhanced delivery platform.
Nanotechnology, okay.
And this is where the text introduces its second major antagonist. It alleges that this specific nanotechnology platform wasn't developed by pharmaceutical companies.
Who does it claim developed it?
It claims it was conceived, developed, paid for, and financed by the Pentagon and its Advanced Research Institute, DARPA.
DARPA, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency.
The very same.
Wow. Okay, for context for the listener, they are the branch of the U.S. Department of Defense responsible for developing cutting-edge, emerging technologies for the military. I mean, they're the agency behind the early internet, GPS, and stealth aircraft technology.
Exactly.
So the text is explicitly taking this microscopic biological delivery vehicle and directly linking its creation to the highest echelons of the U.S. military-industrial complex.
Yes. The document argues that DARPA didn't just fund a medical bubble. They funded a microscopic invisibility cloak.
An invisibility cloak.
Yeah. Mechanically, the text argues that the NLP is a military-grade stealth technology designed specifically to trick the human immune system into ignoring the pathogenic payload until it has already breached the cell wall.
Right.
That is why the text insists this is a weaponized platform, not a medical one.
But developing stealth nanotechnology takes years, if not decades. The pandemic timeline was incredibly compressed. Does the text argue that DARPA just handed this stealth technology over to pharmaceutical companies in a panic in 2020?
No, and this is a crucial pillar of the document's narrative. The text insists this wasn't a sudden reactive pivot to fight a novel virus.
Okay, what was it then?
According to the document, Dr. Boyle determined that the virus itself was, quote, aerosolized and engineered with nanotechnology from the very beginning.
Wait, from the very beginning. So the text is arguing that the mRNA payload and the nanolipid delivery missile weren't two separate projects that just bumped into each other.
Right.
It claims they were designed together from day one.
Exactly. The document claims this tight integration indicates a long-term, highly specific, Pentagon-sponsored program aimed at creating nanotechnological biological weapons.
Wow.
Yeah, the text argues that the NLP delivery system used in the global rollout is the direct intentional result of this long-term military program.
Okay, let me pause and summarize this massive architecture before we move to the final conclusion, because the text is asking the reader to accept staggering sequence of events here.
It really is. Let's recap.
So on one side, the text claims we have an illegal synthetic payload, the spike protein mRNA.
So,
Mechanically, this is an instruction manual optimized to attack human cells, developed through gain-of-function research at places like UNC and Wuhan, which it evidences using the 2015 Nature Medicine paper as a blueprint.
correct.
On the other side, we have a military-grade stealth delivery system, the nanolipid particles. Mechanically, this is a Trojan horse designed to bypass the human immune system, developed and funded over years by DARPA and the Pentagon.
Right.
And the document claims these two components were intentionally fused together from the start to fulfill Dr. Boyle's strict definition of a military biological weapon system.
You have mapped the exact blueprint the text is drawn.
So if a reader fully buys into the mechanics of this argument, where does this text finally take us? If this is a weapon, who is pulling the trigger and what is the legal consequence?
This brings us to the final, ultimate destination of the source material. If the listener follows the text's logic that an illegal synthetic payload was intentionally combined with a military-funded stealth delivery system to create a bioweapon, the document arrives at the most severe legal conclusion possible in international law.
We're talking war crimes.
Specifically, crimes against humanity. The text explicitly names Gates and Bora.
Wait, Bora? We should clarify. Presumably, the text is referencing Bill Gates and Albert Bourla, the CEO of Pfizer. But wait, is it literally just spelled B-O-R-A?
Yes, presented exactly as Bora in the source transcript.
Interesting. Okay.
The document states that these individuals, representing the architects and funders of this alleged system, qualify as suspects of crimes against humanity as defined in the Rome Statute concerning the International Criminal Court.
The Rome Statute. For the listener, the Rome Statute is the treaty that established the International Criminal Court at The Hague. It is the legal framework used to prosecute genocide, crimes against humanity, and war crimes. I just have to marvel at the sheer, unrelenting escalation of the narrative architecture in this document. I mean, think about where we started.
Yeah, it's quite the journey.
It begins with microscopic biology debating in vitro viral replication in a 2015 Petri dish, and it systematically, step by step, reframes those highly technical scientific concepts into the foundation for a literal war crimes tribunal.
It is a masterclass in narrative escalation. By utilizing the Rome Statute as its final framing device, the text elevates the alleged event from a debate over medical malpractice or corporate greed or even government overreach to the absolute highest possible echelon of international criminal law.
Right.
It frames the individuals involved not as scientists or businessmen who made catastrophic mistakes, but as active architects of a global military assault on the human population.
It fundamentally changes how the listener is supposed to view their own recent history. The document is essentially asking you to look back at the global panic, the lockdowns, the vaccine rollouts, and say, none of that was a chaotic emergency medical response. You were watching a highly coordinated military deployment.
And that is why it is so crucial to analyze how these texts are built. When a document constructs a narrative architecture this extreme, it demands a very critical structural lens from the reader.
Absolutely. And that is exactly why we do these deep dives. So let's concisely recap the specific journey this text just took us on.
Let's do it.
The document began by establishing Dr. Francis Boyle as the ultimate legal authority to define a bioweapon as requiring two integrated parts, a payload and a delivery system.
Right.
It then argued that the payload was illegal, gain-of-function research mechanically, an evolutionary boot camp for a bat virus, pointing to a 2015 Wuhan and UNC paper as a smoking gun blueprint. Next, it argued the delivery system, the nanolipid particles, wasn't a harmless fat globule, but a stealth military Trojan horse funded by DARPA to bypass the immune system.
Exactly.
And finally, it fused those two arguments together to accuse global figures of orchestrating crimes against humanity under the Rome Statute at The Hague.
And as we close, it is vital to reiterate to you, the listener, that this deep dive was an exercise in understanding the anatomy of a highly controversial argument.
Yes, very important point.
Our goal today was strictly to map the mechanical and rhetorical connections this specific document makes from a 2015 medical journal all the way to international criminal law. We are outlining the structure of the claims, mapping how the foundation is laid, not endorsing the staggering reality they propose.
Exactly. We were just looking at the blueprints. But, spending time unpacking a document this intense, it leaves you with a lot to think about regarding how massive legal frameworks are applied to local, everyday events.
Oh, for sure.
And I want to leave you, the listener, with a final thought to ponder something that builds directly on the strict logic of this source material, but that the text itself doesn't directly address.
What is the implication that stands out to you?
Well, the document focuses entirely on assigning blame to the alleged top-level architects of this bioweapon. The researchers in the labs, the military agencies like DARPA, and the billionaire funders at the top of the pyramid.
Right.
But if one were to fully accept this text's legal framework, if you accept the premise that this entire global rollout was a coordinated military attack using a biological weapons system, what does that imply about the millions of local doctors, pharmacists, and nurses who actually physically administered it?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
If the syringe in the local clinic is legally defined as a military weapon system, does the document's strict legal logic ultimately require viewing your neighborhood healthcare workers as either unwittingly drafted foot soldiers or active combatants in a global military operation?
That is a heavy, heavy thought.
It's a very heavy question about exactly where the line of complicity is drawn when a public medical event is totally reframed as an act of war.
It completely upends the traditional doctor-patient relationship into a literal battlefield scenario. If the clinic becomes a frontline, who is actually pulling the trigger?
Exactly. It forces you to look at the people in your own community through a completely different militarized lens. It's something to deeply consider about how far these legal arguments actually reach. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Don't forget to like and subscribe for the next episode on While We Were Distracted.